Hey Kyle, this is Keaton Everett with ABC, going over your pitching video from camp. We go through and talk about your motion and go over your video and your mechanics and kind of break it down frame by frame and go through and kind of talk a little bit about what we look for. And basically at your age it's just a matter of trying to get ourselves in a point where we're using our body, we're kind of understanding sort of the way our lower half works in relation to our upper body. But the biggest thing is just kind of making sure that we're using our body the way that benefits us, adding velocity, keeping ourselves healthy, and most importantly, making sure that we can repeat our delivery and throw strikes. And so the biggest thing, off the bat, is you're nice and controlled initially, which is good, but your lower half is a little bit off. All right, you're not driving with your hips. You gotta lead with that lower body. You're popping open a little bit. And we'll go through a little bit more detail and talk about each step here. So we'll go back here to the start and kind of go through everything. All right, so right off the bat, we look at where your balance is in relation to, your back foot. And as we kick through here and you start your motion, all right, you can see you're pretty much already staying back. Everything's in line. All right, that's good to see. A lot of times you see guys kind of rock back. But you're maintaining your weight over that back leg, which is good. All right. One thing to sort of help you out here is I want you to look at where your glove is. And as we tick forward, all right, see where that ball goes? Is that ball, the bottom of that path is about right here. All right. So right now you have all this distance for that ball to travel, that glove to travel, and that distance just adds to inconsistencies. All right. The more, something has to travel, one time we might travel here, then our hands break here, it might be here, it might be here, we might get lower. And so it's just harder to kind of repeat everything. So basically what we want to try to do is, make ourselves more efficient, so cut that in half, all right? So what we'd want to try to see you do, starting your hands up doesn't create any velocity for you. All right, so all we'd like to see is just get those hands tucked down around your belly button, below your chest, somewhere that's comfortable for you. In that position, that'll help. Now your hands, now that ball's starting right here, now it just has to go right there instead of from up here to down there, so it's just a little more efficient. All right, lower half-wise is really good. You're nice and closed with your hips. Now what we want to try to see is our hips to lead ourselves forward. All right, so now we're driving. We got weight on the inside part of that knee, and we're driving forward with our hip and not with our front foot. All right, so as we start ticking forward here, I just kind of want you to key in on this lower body here. So just key in, right around here as we start ticking forward here. All right, and I need to draw one more line. I want to draw a line right out here with your hip. Okay, so as this leg starts to come down, we want to see movement forward with our lower body. Okay, so as you can see here, there's not a whole lot of movement going on. All right, your body's still staying in line. Your head hasn't even gone forward. Now you're starting to go, and now the camera's kind of moving with you, so that line kind of gets off pace a little bit. But basically what happens is your leg's starting to go down, your body's just kind of sitting back here. All right, so what we want to try to get to is right at this point, you're driving with that knee, but you're driving with those hips. All right, your body's getting forward, right here, and your body's sitting forward. So now you're here, now this leg starts to come down, maybe right here, but now our body's down over here. All right, so we just got to start gaining some ground forward as we get going. We need that momentum. All right, and so what this does when you sit back here, oops, that's a wrong tool there. So when you sit back here, what this leg does is this leg just kind of swings open out front, and we kind of lose our hip. So watch this leg as it comes through. All right, I'll draw another reference line. Is if we're drawing a straight line, looks like, that's pretty close to straight towards that catcher. And so ideally, we'd want to try to land somewhere around that line. As you can see, as you come through here, everything just kind of pops up and open, and you land way open. All right. So just kind of draw that line in the dirt when you're on the mound, and just work on trying to land straight in line. All right, what this does is this just pops your hips open, and this kind of takes away that lower half from getting used. All right, so this just kind of shifts all the power from your hips It just shifts it up here. It sets you up for more strain on your arm, takes away some velocity. So just really work on getting this foot in line, because everything else is decent from that foot strike. All right, you can see that back hip starting to work a little bit. You're getting good extension of the mound. Now just keep that closed, and what's keeping it closed here, what that's going to do too is that's going to take this upper body. You can see that this arm's that elbow's starting to turn. What you're going to see is that's going to happen is that elbow's still going to be closed, that glove's going to be out over that front foot, and now you're out in this position, which is a lot more powerful position. All right. One of the good things is, though, you are staying back over that back hip. A lot of times you'll see you guys' posture kind of start to lean forward, so you're staying back enough. Now just work on that direction. So then through that release point here, you can see those hips start to work. You got a little bit of torque going, which is good, and so torque is that ability for those hips just kind of start to turn before your shoulders. You can see that there's just kind of going at the same time a little bit. You got a little bit going on there, but ideally we'd like to see our hips start to turn right there, and our upper body's back in that position we kind of drew a few frames earlier. All right, so you just kind of open it up early, kind of pulling a little bit. So then through your release point, you're releasing the ball. You got back foot still on the ground, which is good. All right, you're just not getting that extension. You're kind of almost throwing straight up, driving with your lower half, using more body. You're going to see yourself, pick a couple more inches up of release point. You're going to get that head and that chest on over that front foot a little bit more. We don't want to see it, maybe behind that heel as much. But you're also going to have a little bit more bend in that front leg. You're just going to be more active with that lower half through that release point. But, again, the release is pretty good. So it's just a matter, the biggest thing is just that direction. Make sure that we're striding in line and we're using our back, our right side, and not our left side to do all the work. And this is something that is harder at your range. The older you get, the stronger you get, the more coordinated you get, the easier it is. It's going to be. So just make sure that you can still work on this stuff now, so when that strength comes, you're going to be good to go. So just kind of work on driving those hips forward, take that back pocket towards that catcher, and use that body. But anyways, overall, pretty good, man. Thanks for making that into camp. Hopefully you have a great season this year, and hopefully we'll see you again with ABC.